Hey guys, it's been a hot minute. A lot of stuff been going on. Like I mentioned in a previous video, switching up jobs, and my hours have been kind of crazy lately. So that's taken up a lot of time. But I had a tournament last week on Saturday. So I was in that. My goal was to get break 10th place. My first tournament, I came 16th out of 18th or 18 people. But I was much more seasoned and had watched a ton more battle reports and had just felt a lot more secure in my knowledge, had taken notes and just felt better about my chances going into it. So showed up. My son came with me as kind of moral support, and he kind of reminds me about certain things, and he just likes to hang out while we go through and stuff. So that was nice. But my first opponent, he's like, I would almost say like a professional player. He was a guy who played 6-7 times a week. I believe he was ranked. I'm not sure what, rank it would be or anything like that. But he was playing a Chaos Warriors detachment. And when I say he was good, it was, good. By turn, normal turn one stuff is, get kind of set up, maybe take a few pot shots at something, that sort of thing. But wasn't too many shootable opportunities on turn one for me. I went second, and he was real good about hiding his guys behind cover. So I did the best I could, and just took a few pot shots and everything else. But I figured, whatever. On turn two, that's when things really set off. So that's what I fully expected. However, turn two, there was like nothing, and I mean nothing, to shoot at. He placed his army exceptionally well, to the point of it was like nothing to shoot at. And at that point, I knew I was in extreme trouble. I had told him, I was fairly new, wasn't completely new, but still, fairly not experienced and such. But it was painful. It was, I knew very quickly that there was zero chance that this was going to turn out well for me. And it got to the point where I was just, not using command points, I was leaving guys out of position. I was leaving, just to end the pain. It was not a fun match. It was not enjoyable for me at all. Normally, even if I'm losing, I'll still find enjoyment in wacky rolls or, oh man, if only that would have done better, or, something enjoyable. But that match was by no means was that an enjoyable time for me. I just wanted it to end. And because there was, like I said, 0 point. I mean, I learned a lot about placement and how important placement is, but it was just not a fun match to have, where it was so one-sided that, you know, it's like when you play, I guess, when you do all the side quests and then you go after the boss and you're level 100 and the boss is level 20. You know, that's the kind of situation we were in. I mean, he knew his stuff. I can't fault him for that. It was just, I wish I was paired up with someone else who was more akin to my skill level. That's just the luck of the draw. And I mean, it happens. It just wasn't pleasant at all. He would go on to win the whole tournament. So, I mean, he was good. So I can't fault him for that. His son actually came in second place, and his son is ranked, like, I guess in the area, his son is ranked like in the top 18. And it was, his son played against a friend of mine on the next table over during my third match. And the guy my friend who lost, said pretty much the same thing I did. It was so one-sided. It wasn't enjoyable. Like, losing like that is just, you know, you're not really learning anything. It's just like, why show up? You know, it's like you want people who are similar skill levels to play, so that things even out, because otherwise it's just, I'm sure matches between those two would be impressive to watch. You know, the father versus son would be impressive to watch, because they're going to be very similar. They both had Chaos Warrior armies. I believe they both played exactly the same way, because it's just overpowered. Their setup that they did, the combination, was just very much synergized well together. But, you know, that it is what it is. My second match was against a newer player. His army wasn't even painted. It was a Blood Angels army. It wasn't even painted. And since, you know, Blood Angels is melee focused, and, you know, I've got a rough mix between half melee, half ranged, I figured I was in a good place for this one. And did very well, and made smart moves, used my command points well, and got in some, the dice were rolling so hot. I kind of felt bad, and I kind of thought maybe he was thinking I was cheating, to the point where I would roll dice and tell him to come take a look, you know, because I didn't want him to think that I was, you know, faking it and stuff. Because, I mean, I was rolling defensive sixes like no one's business. Or I had, you know, because he had so much guys considered infantry, I was rolling for invasion, and so I had sustained hits. And so it was procking. Oh my gosh, it was procking all the time. And I was rolling my, you know, Feel No Pains on my Norn Emissary. I must have made 30 or 40 of those Feel No Pains with my Norn Emissary when he was on the center objective, his home objective. And he just would not die. But I ended up winning that match. It was fairly close. But I ended up winning that one. And so I moved on to the third match, and it was Tyranids versus Tyranids, and the other Tyranid player is very experienced, and he had the new stratagem, the assimilation swarm, where you heal up. And so that was fun to go against. And I had a blast, and I learned a ton playing against him, and some stuff I had been doing some of my synapse stuff wrong. And so it was good to learn, and he was real helpful in teaching me, some tips and tricks and stuff. I lost, but I lost, but I had fun in the loss. That's the difference with losing like that compared to the first round loss. There was enjoyment in that loss where I felt like things were, things were better. Things were more straightforward, and I had fun. I couldn't roll as hot as my dice were during the second match. They cooled off a lot for the third match, and I couldn't, for the first half of the game, I couldn't make a save to save my life. And, so that really hurt. And then I ended up losing. So that was no fun. But, it like I said, it happens, and it was just a learning experience. But I had fun with it, Didn't win the painting competition. It was an individual model painting competition. Didn't win it this time, so I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping to win it. A gentleman with a Mortarian won. I didn't really get to see the model that well at the time, so I don't know how good it was, but he ended up winning. So, yeah. What else? Yeah, just been kind of working on stuff. Had my birthday, so I got a new model. I got some Deathwing Knights for my Dark Angels when I get moving on that. Just kind of putzing away. It's a nice day. I'm off of work, so I'm putzing away at some lictors. Probably get those, do some touch-ups and get those clear-coated today, so that, I can get those done and ready to go. I'll tell you what, man, this palette held up. The Game Envy palette, it held up. It hadn't been opened, and it's still wet. It hadn't been opened in quite a while, and it still, still kept everything nice and moist. So it is nice. But yeah, that's all I got. Just trying to go through the motions with everything. There's another tournament in May. They normally do one every month. We're also talking about getting Marvel Crisis Protocol going. And I have models for those. But all my cards are out of date. So I don't know if I want to get new cards and go through all that or not. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Sorry. Try putting red on there. I don't like that. So we'll see if I get the new cards or not with that. It's up in the air right now. I haven't found the cards yet to where I can get them. So we'll have to see how that works. But yeah, that's all I got, guys. Appreciate you. I know it's been a while since I did a video. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. So talk to you later. Bye.